skip forward a few moments, just a bit of downtime while I get the stream sorted and ready to go, and I'll get sorted with the intro just as we're about to ready up for. So if you are watching post race, do just make sure to skip forward just that little bit. I'm getting the stream set up so we can get run away and going smoothly, and so I don't get shouted at for not supplying a link to the stream. So yeah, just gonna do that. And if anyone is gonna care to join me live, do be sure to comment in the chat. Always nice to see some familiar faces of people cheering their favourite drivers on. Copy link. We shall go right, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll just put that. It's better thumbnail than anything, so I'll do. So we'll be readying up in just a moment. Okay, so we are getting underway. So hey there everyone, and welcome back to the Pro-Am Formula Racing League. I'm Zach Sweeney, and after a week break for the League versus League event, seeing our Division 1 driver Baraka take the win, we are back for the Division 3 race tonight. Racing of course around the twisty turns of the circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, which hasn't played host to many bangers in its history in Formula 1, first hosting the racing back in 1991. I was minus 15. However, we have seen incredible moments like Maldonado taking his maiden win after battling two-time world champion Fernando Alonso back in 2012. Back in 2016, we also saw Max Verstappen taking advantage of, well, that Mercedes incident, cruising home to become the youngest race winner at just 18 years old. 4.655 kilometers, around about 2.893 miles, and 16 turns to negotiate a lap around the circuit with top speeds approaching the 200 miles an hour mark. A race lap record set by Valtteri Bottas in 2020 is a 118.183. Will any of our drivers beat that today? Who will come out on top? Stay tuned. What is hoping to look like a riveting race to find out soon. So just getting ready for qualifying, and hopefully we can see who will come out on top. Short qualifying, of course, followed by a 50% race if you are unfamiliar with the format of FRL. So circuit back to Barcelona, Catalunya, first hosting a Formula 1 race back in 1991, and it looks as though we have actually got a little bit of rain for today's qualifying session, looking to spice things up a little bit, so that could definitely, well, just shake up the grid, to be completely honest. Strategy is also a massive factor in F1 League races around this track. So the fact it's a wet quali will not only shake things up with the drivers, having it to really be tentative, finding the grip throughout the session, as we already see Rip the Beans getting his tyre blankets off on those intermediate tyres to get out on track. But as I was saying, in a normal qualifying session in the dry around Catalunya, it's very important to make sure you have got the correct tyres on for the strategy. You could, go for the softs, have a better qualifying, but lose out in the race. You could go into the medium, sacrifice qualifying a little bit, be on a better strategy for the race. But in the wet, we don't have that. Everyone will be starting the race on fresh tyres. Everyone will have a free choice of dry tyres. That is, of course, if it is dry, come, well, in the game tomorrow's race, or come 18 minutes time today. We'll have to see and well, just see how that goes on. But we can see the Mercedes have ripped the beans coming around the corner, and hopefully he can try and find himself a little bit of grip. It is, obviously, I've driven in the wet a lot myself, and I can tell you from experience, it is just trying to slowly build up the confidence, acclimatise yourself to the track. And you can see Rip the Beans doing that just nicely on his outlap. But the outlaps and the inlaps especially are where you want to be doing that, because you can really get a taste for where the grip is on before your flying lap. So you can see negotiating through turn 12 and into the quick chicanes of turn 13, which some would argue that ruins the racing, but it certainly does. The Dersier through here isn't great, but Rip the Beans starting a hot lap now through the final corner of turn 16 and across the line to start a hot lap. A very long run down into turn 1 from the grid, the longest run to T1 on the calendar. But you can see now just trying to find the grip, using the curb on the outside to just try and hook the car up that little bit more, try not to spin as well through turn 2, using the curb. That's brave in the dry, let alone in the wet. And through turn 3, just trying to get the car turned in, really having to chuck the nose in and keeping it tight to try and get the power down, and just trying to find the grip into sector 2 then. 24.5 is certainly not something to be too frowned upon. It's definitely a good sector 1 time, especially in the wet. Down into turn 5, hooking an apex rather nicely, trying to get the power down as efficiently as he can. The Stig moving out of the way for his teammate into turn 8, just hooking up that inside curb and straight lining this as much as he can. He's on a what's looking to be a pretty hooked up lap, as Big Papa Fury has already retired from the race, from the qualifying session I should say, but coming in to turn 10, braking very nicely. He's purple to the second sector. Of course, he's the only one to set a lap into turn 11, into 12, the uphill left right that leads into the final couple of corners, and this is looking like a very hooked up lap into 13, chucking it into the chicane, use that inside curve to hook the car around and coming into 14, and then the penultimate corner of 15, just getting it stopped, rotating the car nicely, and this has been a pretty hooked up lap across the line. Let's see what it'll be through the final corner, just building up the confidence to get the power down. It's going to be a 1:29.296, a very good lap time indeed. Let's see who else is on a lap. This is Big Tommy P on a lap. He's coming around turn 13, a bit shaky, and into turn 13, the final chicane, hooking it up rather nicely, bit sideways and squirmy, just not getting the car turned in and trying to acclimatise himself to the grip as best he can through the final corner, building up the confidence flat out, nearly. And across the line, Rip Sile actually goes into P2. Big Tommy P goes a very close second place with a 1:29.360. Very good times off the bat. Banana goes third with a 1:30.650. So a very, very good time there from him to put himself into a provisional P3. Let's just see who can acclimatise themselves the quickest, who can find the grip, who can come out on top, as James Ralph does go quickest with a 1:29.210, less than a tenth of a second clear of Rip the Bean. So very close times in these early stages. Still 30 minutes left to go, and the Stig seems to be on a pretty hooked up lap here. He is purple to the middle sector. I didn't quite see what his first sector was, but it's looking like a hooked up lap. He's hooking up all the right apexes, really keeping that Mercedes car under control and really showing as if he's going to be on a good lap, hooking up and using the gears for extra rotation, using that engine braking to get it stopped, getting the car rotated rather nicely, using the curbs to hook it up. Bit shaky on the exit though, and into turn 16, just hooking up the inside camber a little bit. There is a little bit of a dip there you can hook the car with across the line. It's a 1:28.3, and that is 9/10 clear of James Ralph, and at that Stig, well, that is a very, very good lap time and worthy of the title of the Stig, it must be said. And that's a very good bank lap time, and I'm sure he'll be going for another lap shortly, just to keep the momentum up and keep himself with it and finding that extra grip. You find grip every other lap here. You can see he's already found an extra 3/10 on his previous best through turn 4 and into turn 5. This has been a pretty good lap so far from the Stig, and I'm sure he'll only be finding more time as he builds up confidence, builds up the courage to get on that power that little bit earlier, break that a little bit later, carry that a little bit more speed into the corners, and that is what will win you the races. That will will get you pole, and he's so far been doing a very good job, as the Maverick actually comes in a very close second place with a 1:28.540. So these two, the Stig and Maverick, looking to be at the top dogs for today. 4/10 up in the middle sector as well. This is a very good lap and on for the first of the 27s in today's qualifying session. Of course, as we see cars running around at almost 200 miles an hour, we will see a lot of water get moved out of the way. So towards the end, there'll be a lot more grip than there was at the start due to the track evolution. But these are always good times to get yourself acclimatized to the grip and not be out there at the end of the session in the unknown. Across the line, is this going to be a better lap? No, he loses that a little bit more time in the final sector, but still goes and extends his gap at pole with a 1:28.261, and I'm sure he'll be looking to improve upon that. The potential definitely is there. Here's the Maverick across the line though. Is he going to take provisional pole? No, he isn't. It's only going to be a 10th improvement, a 1:28.357. And the McLaren as well, looking in there, not the best run through turn 1. He's invalidated it already, currently sitting P6 and using way too much track on the inside there. That's definitely not going to work in getting this car turned. And I can see the theory in using the curb to hit the car around, but in practice, and he really does need to move out of the way. That was close. He accelerated himself off the track just to move out of the way of the Alfa Romeo there. They're very close stuff, but yeah, I can see the theory with the McLaren trying to use that inside curb to hook it up on the inside, but yeah, it just doesn't really go too well for him there on that occasion. He just needs to be a bit more smooth with the inputs and just try and slowly build up and find that little bit extra pace here today. So we've got Danjay on a lap in the AlphaTauri. It's invalidated, but it's a 24.4 into the first sector. It's not too bad Of course, even if it's not a valid time, it's still good to get the experience, get the intel, get the knowledge of the track. And he's very wide, and that's what can happen. Pushing the limits a little bit too hard, but it's better than driving under them and not knowing that you're driving at your limit. So he's found the limit, and again, using the curb on the inside, he'll know not to use that now. So it's always good just to test the grip. He's still got 9 minutes left. He doesn't need to be setting pole laps just yet. Of course, it is important, but he's just finding his grip, finding where he can put the power down, finding where the grip is, like on using that inside curb to hit the car could work for him. But it has looked as though the rain has gotten a little bit worse. Could the rain get worse across the session, or is it getting better? We'll only have to see as maybe the times do get a little bit slower. I will actually pull up the standings, if just give me one moment. Maybe I won't. No, don't think I will. I can't seem to find it. But here is Ty Star, the man currently sitting P10, just on the cusp of the top 10. 18 drivers on the grid tonight, so very good numbers as per usual with the FRL streams. And again, just using that lovely Renault engine, downshifting engine braking to get the car turned in. Personal favourite's the Honda, to be honest. Do love the Honda engine, especially when it's coasting. But nonetheless, he's in the Renault. This still does sound very good. Is he up on his time? He's a second up on his time to the middle sector there. Very deep. Must have got caught out by the fact he's a second up on his time. And that is a very easy mistake to do. Through 11 into 12. He's on a 1:31.3. A second up would put him on a 30.3, which would put him only one position up. But one position is everything. And really not getting confident on the throttle. You can hear the trying to get the car powered out. There's the tough chef pulling onto the track and nearly into the side of him, trying to get into the pits. That is not the best of driving, it must be said, but there he goes, up into P9, a 1:30.2. Very good time out of the gate for Ty Star, and he's immediately back down into P10 as Danjay does find the grip. He uses that intel to his best advantage, and he finds himself in a provisional P3, so a pretty hooked up lap for the AlphaTauri in a striking livery. I do like the AlphaTauri livery. Not so much for the AT02. Still do quite like it, but the original AlphaTauri livery does look really nice. Perhaps if they flip the colours, go for the white where the navy is and the navy where the white is, that would look very good. But James Ralph does dip into the 27s at a 1:27.759, and that is a very good lap nonetheless. But Tommy and the Maverick both knocked down as James Ralph does go pole. But Danjay, yeah, he's just looking to improve on his lap. It looks like the Renault did get in his way a little bit. Unfortunately, he got in the way a little bit, so he's just going to have to stop that. And the tough chef has been disqualified from this session, unfortunately, so won't be taking part further in qualifying. But James Ralph, nonetheless, a very good lap from him to see himself up the order. Can the Maverick or stick to anything about that? They need to find an extra 7 tenths. Or 6 tenths to find themselves on pole position. Can they do that? Very tentative through turn 2 into turn 3, just trying to hug the inside as much as you can, not even opening up the corner, just stay in on the inside to take that a little bit tighter. A tenth down in the first sector is the Maverick, trying to build up the confidence. He needs to push this lap. He's got 2 more sectors to find that time, but he's on the back foot going in. You really don't want that. You want a nice little threshold, but he can still do it if he trying to get the power down, really using the most of every gear in that Ferrari engine Alfa Romeo. Not the most reliable, but at least he'll have traction with the less output. It must be said. Into turn 10, then turn 9, chucking it in 5th gear. No DRS, of course, as it is the wet conditions, but into turn 10, braking still at the 100 board. He's a second down in his time, so lost even more through that middle sector, and that is certainly not going to be what the Alfa Romeo would have wanted to find himself on pole position. But still trying to negotiate. Will he just try and set himself up for a better next lap? It looks like he is. He's got a full battery. He's trying to set himself up nicely for a next lap. He's looking to get himself power through turn 16, then setting up the lap with 4 minutes and 46 seconds left in the session. This is the final stages of qualifying, and it's so far been a pretty interesting one, it must be said. This is now the shootout for pole between Ralph, Stig and Maverick. Potentially even Big Tommy P if he can get himself within that top 3 fight. But nonetheless, here's the Maverick then through turn 2 into 3, trying to hug it as tight as he possibly can, keep the car pinned. Really nice throttle control there, keeping it around about 75%, but that's very wide, that's very shaky. He's really nearly caught that. Well, how that isn't hanging up in the wall, that is a very, very close call from the Maverick 33 to keep that out of the wall, but it's definitely a heart-stopping moment for him there, and luckily he didn't put it in the wall, so he can still squeeze in another lap if need be. Yeah, not the start, and you can see how hard he's pushing. He's now confident in the grip. He's got available to him in these wet conditions, and just looking to exploit it as best he can, get as much out of the car as he can, but just going that little bit over, finding the limit. And here's Rip the Beans, the man who was on pole for a slight moment at the start of the session, currently P6, still very good time. And I'm sure better than I probably could do in these conditions. I have done a race in the wet around Spain. I finished second, so not too bad, but the pace really wasn't there. Here is Rip the Beans, though. He is purple to the middle sector, and a second up on his time, which looks to be a very good time. If he's a second up, that's going to put him in a provisional P2 if he can keep it through turn 12. Really needs to keep it hooked up and not get too blown away from the fact he is a second up on his time. Just that needs to find that a little bit more through sector 3, chucking it in, really giving it everything then. He's got nothing to lose on this lap. He wants to get himself up the grid that little bit better as Brad does go into P5 across the line. Is Rip the Beans going to take provisional pole? Yes, he is. A 1:27.655, and that is going to be provisional pole for the Mercedes at Catalunya, and I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that time. But the Stig and Ralph, I'm sure, coming out to try and best that time. He only needs an extra tenth of a second. Here's the Stig, looking to improve on his time, 6/10 away from pole as it stands. 2 minutes left in this qualifying session, 2 more laps left to go, maybe 3 if he can squeeze it, but he started the lap and wiggling just to get that little bit extra heat into the tyres. Coming into turn 1, is he going to use his curb on the entrance? Yes, he is, to open up the corner that little bit more. Third gear, second gear even, to get the extra rotation. Use the camera on the inside, not use that curb as it does spin the car out. Hug the tight apex through turn 3, get a wash of understeer though it does the Stig, but still manages to recover it and get a very nice run into sector 2. Is a 10th and a half up, nearly 2 tenths up on his time at the moment. Bit of a slide through turn 4 and into 5. He's still keeping it hooked up rather nicely, just needs to tuck all the apexes, not get the understeer and not get the oversteer on the exit, but coming through into turn 8 and into 9. Here he goes then, third gear, use the camber, try not to get the oversteer as we saw George Russell did spin in the virtual Grand Prix, chucking it through turn 9. Really hard uphill right-hander, especially in the wet, but coming into turn 10, the heavy braking zone, he's 5/10 up on his time, 5.55, and purple to the middle sector is the Stig, so this is looking like a pretty exciting lap. Is it going to be provisional pole? Rip the Beans once again beating his own time, a 1:27.178, bit shaky from his teammate though. Could we see a Mercedes 1-2 here in Catalunya, negotiating just 2 more corners left to go, 14 into 15 and then 16, of course 3 corners, my bad. But here it goes then through the penultimate corner into the final corner. He's going to get a bit of a dirty air from the McLaren in front, but across the line, is the Stig going to take provisional pole? It's only going to be second, a 1:27.488, but as it stands, a Mercedes 1-2. He's got 1 more lap to try and improve and try and go for pole. Who is going to take it? James Ralph as well. He's going to have 1 more attempt at pole. The Maverick, he's going to have 1 more attempt at pole. No, he's not. He's not going to make it round in time. So the Maverick is out of this shootout for pole. Here's James Ralph, as Danjay has called it a day in qualifying. So is Super Nash. They've decided they're not going to get anything, but the Renault has retired right in front of him. So is the AlphaTauri. This is going to cause yellow flags, which is definitely not going to be ideal, as their cars could pull off into the track there. But James Ralph, really big push on. That's going to be in his lap, invalidated maybe. No, he's managed to keep it going. He's not going to be very much up on his time though, I'm sure. 2 tenths down, and that's certainly not what you want for a pole shootout. Rip the Beans just pulling off. He seems to have ran out of time. Here is his teammate though. Is he on a good lap across the middle sector line? He's 2 tenths up on his time. He just needs to find that little bit extra through the final sector, and he'll find himself on pole position. Purple again to the middle sector, 2 turn 11, turn 12, really needs to hook it round. The Maverick is going to qualify a P4 unless Brad can do anything about it. Into 13, then chucking it through. Second gear to get the extra rotation. Third gear to get the traction. Again, bit of a wash of understeer. First gear to get the rotation. That's not going to be what you want sideways. He has invalidated his time though, so he's not going to be able to contest for pole. Would it have been pole though? We'll have to wait and see. No, it would only been a 10th up on his time, but that's going to be him done in P2. Rip the beans, of course, not on a lap. And he's looking to take pole. James Ralph finds himself in the wall and with a 5-place grid penalty after a collision with Nitin. So certainly less than ideal. He'll find himself lining up P8. So the Maverick and Brad both going to be bumped up a position. So is Tommy, so is Danjay, and so is Mahi. All bumped up in extra position because of that contact, which, well, probably wasn't warranting a 5-second penalty. James Ralph again going for a bit of a spin, so certainly less than ideal. We are approached the end of the qualifying session, so Brad Tay trying to hook his way around the track. Is this going to be up in his time? It's not looking to be too spectacular, but anything counts across the line. Is it anything extra? Nope. It's only half a tenth up on his time and just a 5/10 off the Maverick then. So Brad in the Red Bull not being able to do much in today's session. Still a very good showing in P5. Be on the left hand side of the grid and get a nice slipstream down into turn 1. The longest run down to turn 1 on the calendar, as I alluded to earlier. So nonetheless a very good qualifying session and hopefully what is going to be a thrilling race here at Catalunya. And we'll be going there in just a moment. Big Tommy P just trying to crawl his way back to the pits. Would probably be easier if he just crossed the line though, as that would get us done a lot quicker, but he's going to pull into the pits regardless. So after 18 minutes of qualifying, this is going to be the grid, and I'll go through the order in just a moment's time. We're just waiting for Codemaster to decide when we're allowed to stop, so it looks as though we're just waiting for Silly to get his car back into the garage, but we're still waiting for everyone to crawl around and get their cars in. So it looks like hopefully we're not going to be stuck in qualifying. There we go, we've finally loaded out. Rip the beans, then taking pole ahead of a Mercedes 1-2 ahead. 3/10 clear of his teammate. That's Stig in P2. Mercedes lockout as per usual. No strangers to that in Formula 1. James Ralph lining up in P3, however, does have a 5-place grid penalty to contend with, and that will see him drop down into P8. The Maverick, the Greek, in P4. 1:27.8, very good showing. And Brad lining up just behind him in P5. Big Tommy P in P6. Danjay Dan in P7. Mahi in P8, Banana Hamcock in P9, Super Nash Bros rounding off the top 10, Tystar P11, City in P12, Noof in P13, Nitin in P14, Big Papa Fury didn't set a time in qualifying, neither did Labyrinth or Quanon, and that Suther Chef, of course, did get this off in the session and will be rounding off the grid in last place, ahead of 36 laps of the Catalunya circuit, which is looking to be pretty thrilling and a very, very close on pace. And hopefully we're not going to be robbed of any, well, of any action. I remember one time a Mercedes 1-2 caused Max Verstappen to take his maiden win back in 2016 to give him his maiden win in Formula 1 at just 18 years and about 228 days old, I believe. So again, very no stranger to incidents is the Catalunya circuit, and hopefully the two Mercedes don't take each other out in similar fashion. Definitely would be less than ideal. Just waiting for everyone to ready up, get their strategy sorted. I'm predicting maybe a soft to hard, medium to hard, soft, medium, soft, medium, soft, maybe. The Catalunya circuit does play host to a lot of different strategies, at play. It could obviously be a safety car towards the end of the race, towards the start of the race. You really have to factor these things in when you're thinking of the strategy. And, well, these guys have to be the engineers, they have to be the race strategists, they have to be the driver. These sim racing, they have it all, and they really have to be versatile, have it all. You need not only to have the raw pace, but also to have that strategical mind to think when to pit, to know when to pit, to predict what's going to happen, and just have that racecraft throughout, and just know when to, like, what to do. But ahead of a formation lap then, all loading in, Rip the Beans does lead the way then of this, leave us a 5.6 kilometers, 4.6 kilometers circuit, so 4.6 kilometers until the start of the race. You can see it weaving around there. Let's have a look at the tyres then. Most of the grid opting for the yellow stripe medium tyre, and then Big Papa Fury and Mahi both looking to get a strong start into the race with the soft tyres. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out then. The two on the alternate strategy, Quanon and Nissan, both out of the session already. They're going to be starting the race on tyres that have been in the fridge for about 3 days, it seems. Very cold tyres, and getting the car up to grip. You can see weaving around like snakes are the two Mercedes, just to get that extra bit of temperature in the tyres. Makes the rubber a little bit more malleable, so when they're putting the load into the corners, the tyre can stress that a little bit more, have that little bit more malleability and stress. Obviously with the lateral forces, the tyres are going to have to move, the rubber's going to have to move, and if they're cold, they're not going to be able to do that just as well. They'll have a little bit less grip. So just getting the tyres into that nice sweet spot, you can see weaving around like snakes just to do so, and the Rip the Beans just really using the full extent of the track to do so, just backing up the grid. You can see everyone doing it. Just get that bit of extra temperature in the tyres. Obviously don't want to do it too much or light up the rears too much. You can see Rip the Beans doing off the exit of turn 10 there, lighting the rears up to get a bit more temperature into the rear tyres. That would definitely help him off the start. He needs a good start down into turn 1. It's a very, very long run, just over a kilometre I believe, down into turn 1. And he's got his teammate, he's got Maverick, who is probably in the best position. Him and Bradtay are both in the best position, but Maverick hasn't actually managed to get back in, so he's going to have to wait until the race starts to load back into his car. But here we are then, the cars are lining up on the grid ahead of 33 laps of the Catalunya circuit, my apologies. Predicted pit stop strategy then, powered by AWS F1 Insights. 1 stop medium to hard, or a 2 stop soft medium medium. This is looking interesting then. Hopefully strategy will play a big factor today. We're just waiting for that tough chef to line up. Here we are then, the cars are lined up, the engines are revving. We're getting tantalisingly close to a riveting race start. This is it. The adrenaline is pumping, the heart is beating, and we're getting ready to go ahead of 33 laps. 3 red lights, then the adrenaline's pumping. This is it. 5 red lights, and we're underway here in Catalunya. The Pulsar gets away well, but so does the Maverick. He's already ahead of the P2 man of that Stig, and he's already challenging the Pulsar down into turn 1. He's on the grass, does the Mercedes, and into the lead goes Maverick. Long run into turn 1 then, and his teammate under pressure from the Red Bull, who's looking to get himself up the grid early. There's an Alfa Romeo off. That is the pole. That was the leader of the race. Maverick pulling over to let everyone through, I do believe. Side by side goes Papa Fury and Banana Hancock, getting a front row seat to it. All 3 abreast down into turn 4. There's contact. The Renault has spun, and he's hit his teammate, and he's off. There's Nissan off. There's Yellow Faust who set the 3. He's spun round. Is that going to be a full course yellow? No, it looks like everyone's getting away well, just about. But further up, Bradtay and Mahi, who's had a stonking start, already up into P3, is the AlphaTauri, getting ahead of the Alpha, well, the senior team of the Red Bull. But he's on the back of the Stig. It's still a Mercedes 1-2, and Rip the Beans just about hanging on to that pole position lap and staying into the lead of the race. But Big Papa Fury as well on the back of the McLaren, squeezes to the inside, sells a nice little dummy to the inside of turn 10. Danjay as well up the inside of is that Big Tommy? Yes, it is. The AlphaTauri trying to get the move done, but Big Poppy hanging on brilliantly around the outside. It looks like he's calmed down just that little bit more, but the AlphaTauri definitely putting the pressure on these 2 Mercedes in this early stage. He really is on the back of him and trying to get the move done. He really does need to capitalise on the grip advantage he does have. We've also got James Ralph, a man who was challenging for pole up the inside, but started P8. He's not had the best start. He's round the inside of the Haas, and very nice move down into turn 14. He's down though on the back of Big Tommy, trying to get the move done. Is he going to be close enough into turn 1? No. Not quite close enough to send it on this occasion. He's all over the back of him though into turn 3. Can he get it done? No, he's got a bit swamped and he's in a Mercedes engine power car sandwich. He has got the Williams putting the pressure on. He needs to be careful. Can the Williams send it into turn 4? Yes, he can, up the inside. Audacious move. And there's Danjay Dan completely caught by surprise by Big Papa Fury to get the move done. Further up the field though, we have got Mahi putting the pressure on the Stig, and this battling is definitely going to help Rip the Beans extend his gap at the front of the field, as Nitin has been given a 5-second time penalty. Of course, the Renault going off at the first lap. All over the back of this Stig though is Mahi. He is really putting the pressure on. Bit caught out by Dirty Air though. Overtake activated. We're on to lap 2. No DRS, of course, until lap 3. Big Papa Fury trying to get his way up the inside into turn 10 on Big Tommy. So the two bigs, and last Tough Chef has retired coming out of turn 8. So very easy mistake to do, but Big Papa Fury up into P5. And there's a virtual safety car. The Williams smacking his brakes on and nearly catching Big Tommy out there. But virtual safety car has come out. So basically the race is neutralised, or the cars have to adhere to a 40% race speed delta, whereby they can't exceed 40% race speed. So just crawling around while they can clear the incident. And obviously when you're clearing an incident, you don't fancy 17 Formula 1 cars driving around at full speed. So a perfect opportunity to recharge the batteries and gain a little bit of fuel, save a little bit of fuel in this race. And hopefully we can get back under green flag racing to see this exciting battle for P2, as Mahi is on the soft tyres and does have the pace in these early stages, just needs to put the pressure on. Let's see then, are we back under green flag racing? We are back under green flag racing very quickly, and it looks like the AlphaTauri then for P2. He needs to capitalise off this grip he's got. Brad Tay as well looking to get involved if anything happens between the two sitting on the podium. This could get a little bit feisty. Here he goes then. Has he got DRS? Yes, he will have. It is lap 3 through turn 9 then. He just needs to stay close enough. Use his overtake button and use the drag reduction system. He's closing to the inside. Lick it, stick it. Send it up the inside. Yes, he does. Just about getting it stopped, but the Stig sets up a lovely little cutback then to get himself back up the inside for turn 11 through turn 12. And this is a great bit of racing, but only allowing his teammate to stretch away that a little bit more. And Mahi will have another go down into turn 1 though. He will have the DRS once again through 13, as Dan has actually picked up himself a first 3-second time penalty, just pushing that a little bit extra. The drag reduction system opening the rear flap in the rear wing just to give him that extra 20 kbh closing speed. We've also got Big Papa Fury on the back of Brad. This could get interesting when these two start fighting. James, the race as it stands, the Stig definitely has the pace to go and catch his teammate, chipping away at that gap. It's just a case of where Mahi wants to work with him, wants to use the Stig to try and catch up to Rip the Beans in front. Purple through the first sector for AlphaTauri. Big J down as well on the back of Tommy and Papa Fury. So we've got a big train going on here, and a 4-car train from 6th down to about is that 9th. And we've also got Silly trying to close in on it as well. But further up, nonetheless, we've got Big Papa Fury all over the back of Brad Tay. He's got the DRS open. Brad Tay not going to defend the inside. He's confident in the outside, or just going to let Big Papa Fury off. And there's a car off further back. Is that Danjay Dan out on the wall? Yes, it is. He's out of the race. And is that going to cause a safety car? Yes, it is. It's going to be a safety car out. And Danjay Dan, very, very sideways in the background, smacking the wall at very big speeds. But who is going to pit? Is this going to cause any pit stops? Of course, the safety car, everyone's going to have to line up under safety car. Ty-Star picking himself up a drive-through penalty for doing so. This could allow the soft runners to come into the pits, but Mahi not pitting. He's confident he can stay out. Interesting strategy. I was confident the soft runners would pit. Clearly not, but Brad Tay is into the pits to take a stop. Potentially to the hard tyres, maybe to the end of the race. What cars is he going to strap on? He's going to go for a 2-stop. He's going to strap on the mediums, and he's going to have to go for a wing change as well. He's sustained a little bit of damage, and a 5-second time penalty as well he's had to serve. So the Red Bull mechanics usually very quick, not so on this occasion. And out of the pit lane and coming up into traffic on what will be P14. My apologies. So still a Mercedes 1-2 ahead of Mahi. The Williams still putting the pressure on despite being on these soft tyres. And they did very much have the grip advantage towards the start of the race. Probably will be around about that crossover point just about now, as the tyres do degrade over time. Super Nash Bros lining up in P6. Sully in P7, James Ralph in P8, Tystar P9, and Noof rounding off the top 10. The Maverick, who took the lead on lap 1, but of course pulled over and served his own penalty for disconnecting and taking the lead, down in P11. The Labyrinth in P12, Banana Hancock in P13, Brad Tay coming out in P14, and Nitin, who did sustain a lot of damage off lap 1 after contact with his teammate going 3 wide into turn 4. That was just never ever going to work. This is his chance to try and hook his way around, but if he keeps at this pace, he definitely won't be catching up anyone at any time soon. He really does need to push to get himself onto the back of the safety car, which could be in this lap if he doesn't catch up. Looking like it won't be in this lap, so we have got an extra lap just to wait, hopefully an extra lap or two just for Nitin to try and get his way up the field. So we do have actually got 3 people watching, so of course welcome to the stream, guys. I do appreciate the support. If you are enjoying, do make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Of course we're here for the Formula Racing League Division 3, the Spanish Grand Prix, and what has so far been a very exciting race, only on lap 6 of 33 however, and well, it's definitely given me something to wake up to. Only 9:10 for me, and during half term I've been waking up a lot later than this, let's just say that much, so it's definitely forced me to wake up. See Rip the Beans just getting very, very tantalisingly close to the safety car at the Bird Mylander, so it is a Mercedes 1, 2, 3 technically in the race. The safety car is leading the way and leading the pack around the 4.6 kilometre circuit just for a couple of laps while we wait for everyone. Nitin still corner, so are we going to be able to wait for him? He's the only one we are actually waiting up for. I'm all good, Indigo mate. Welcome to the stream, and I hope you're good, man. Hopefully I can get back on Friday Racing League with you very soon, hopefully. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. But is the safety car going to be in this lap? We've still got to wait for Nitin, but of course, if the incident's clear, the safety car is going to peel into the pits. Is it in this lap? It doesn't look like it is. So luckily for Nitin, he is going to have an extra lap just to crawl around and keep with the front pack. But he is really pushing and not doing his tyres any good to actually catch up, and he's still 50 seconds off. So the safety car is still waiting for him, but it's not going to be doing too well. Rip the Beans thinking about going into the pit lane there, but are the ones that have pit under safety car definitely going to have an advantage? So Brad Tay already taken one of his mandatory pit stops. Well, his mandatory pit stop, technically he doesn't have to stop again. Actually, he might actually have to stop again. Did he go from mediums to mediums? He has gone from mediums to mediums. Which, well, you do need to change compound. Mate, I don't know how I've been doing this. I've got to be honest, I don't know how I've woken up to do comms. I've had a cup of tea, that's pretty much it. I still only fell asleep at 3 o'clock because I forced myself to sleep. I was laying there in pitch black at 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock just trying to get to sleep, but then I finally found some tiredness to get myself to sleep. It's an Australian league, that does make sense, yeah. It's an Australian league, so it does make it a bit of a pain in the bum for me, but nonetheless they are given enough action, and it is very enjoyable. Of course, I'm allowed to stream on my own channel, which does definitely help when it comes to my own YouTube. So of course I was playing Minecraft to 2 AM. Mate, that's the only way. That is the only way. Of course, I had the East Coast Virtual Grand Prix yesterday. Took a second and a third, which definitely could have been better. Definitely could have won the first race. It was wet. I was against Bryn Evans, and slowly catching up to Bryn. He's a very quick driver, nonetheless. Safety car is in this lap though, so Rip the Beans. He's going to become the effective safety car. He's going to just crawl around and wait while the safety car does shoot off ahead and peel into the pit lane, and then he becomes the effective safety car. He's now dictating the pace, and Nitin has just about managed to catch up to the back now, but his tyres are going to be a little bit more worse for wear. But Rip the Beans then crawling around, getting that last little extra bit of temperature in the tyres ahead of the next part of the race. So we've had the safety car, we've had the VSC, we've had the battles. Are we going to see any more? The safety car into the pit lane. When is Rip the Beans going to punch it? He's backing it all the way up. He's punched it, and we'll go green once again on lap 7 onto lap 8. Here we go then. The Mercedes 1-2 leading the way, but we have got the Williams. There's yellow flags already. No, are we back on the green flags? No, there's yellow flags as Banana is into the pit lane. Maha is defensive to the inside. The Williams to the outside, looking around the outside. Can he get it stopped? No. So the AlphaTauri hanging on to that P3 for the time being. Let's see if he can launch any more attacks. Big Tommy as well, looking eager to get onto the back of these two soft runners who are somehow nursing those tyres despite being on them for 7 laps. Very impressive stuff to nurse those tyres for this long. The safety car, of course, helping and taking a lot of load off those tyres as Banana is to the pits just off the safety car restart, interestingly enough, but hopefully the battling will help him. James Ralph finding himself up the inside and into P7. Very nicely done as Rip the Bean, the race leader, has been given a 3-second time penalty. That will be added on to the end of the race, so that is less than ideal for the pole sitter and the race leader as it stands. And all his teammate has to do is just keep within that 3-second mark, and he will be victorious. Again, a long way to go in this race. We'll have to wait and see how things unfold. Brad Tay getting himself up the inside and getting overtaken by Labyrinth. It does run a little bit deep, so here's Brad Tay back up the inside into turn 11, side by side still, and he's just about managed to edge his way ahead and up into P12 to hang on to that position. Here we go then on to the back of lap 8. On to lap 9. It looks like Rip the Beans is pulling the gap a little bit. We've not got a DRS until around about lap 3 laps in. This is now the second lap, so the start of next lap we will see DRS be re-enabled. All these guys have to do is stick within that 1 second range and they will have it done. James Ralph up the inside of Big Tommy P for P5. That's an extra position, an extra 2 points in his pocket if he can hang on, and a very good move then from James Ralph, who is trying to redeem himself after what was a pretty dismal qualifying P3, but also a 5 phase grid penalty. So slowly recovering himself, getting the redemption he deserves. The stick very deep into turn 5. Just about getting a bit back for the exit though, and just trying to keep with his teammate who is desperately trying to get himself out of the 1 second range. If he can do that, that would definitely help him in his bid for a race win. If he can etch out that 1 second range once Maha and the Stig start battling, it will definitely help him. But Maha is still nursing these soft tyres as much as he possibly can and really pushing hard to stay with these two Mercedes as well as the Williams, but just behind him as well. These guys are keeping the pace with the guys in front and doing a very good job of it, it must be said. Nearly out of the 1 second range though, really needs to give it everything through the final couple of corners. Is he into the pit lane? No, he's going to stay out. He's going to have DRS coming into turn 9 on the run down into turn 10. Rip the Beans does set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:20.2. Quite set in 2019, but Maha and Big Papa Fury both putting the pressure on each other. This is the thing to stay with each other, but the Stig has crucially managed to just edge out the 1 second range. No, he hasn't. Maha still just about sticking with the Mercedes in that 1 second range and keeping the gap with him, and this is crucial for him. He's setting personal best through the first sector, pushing that a little bit more, big bit of understeer, and using the full extent of the track further down. We've also got Brad Tay on the back of the McLaren. Has he got himself up the inside? Not quite. On this occasion, he's going to be looking to take a very nice tight line coming out of turn 4 into 5 with the McLaren just shutting the door and saying no. Bit of a lock up though from the McLaren, and the medium runners trying to get themselves back up in front, but we are now on the run down into turn 10. They're going to have DRS, and this is crucial for them to stay with the mediums. They're going to want to stay with them until they pit and go to the hard tyres with the medium runners. That would definitely help. That's someone wide though. Is that Super Nastros? That's off. He's the McLaren is very much off. And has he got himself going again? Got him recovered down into P9, luckily managing to do so. Big Pappy really putting the pressure onto Mahi in the AlphaTauri. The Williams and the AlphaTauri looking to fight. This is for the podium place. The two Mercedes slowly etching themselves away. Here's the Williams in DRS, overtake enabled to the inside. The AlphaTauri not looking to fight that too much. No, and he's found up into the podium place. And the two teammates up in front looking to battle as well. Very big bit of understeer though from the Stig. And definitely not going to be what he wanted to do. But nonetheless, keeping it real, and he's going to be setting near purple personal best to the first sector, but really just needing to keep the pressure on his teammate who is going through thick and thin. He's got all the pressure on him at the moment, all the spotlights on him and hopefully we can see a bit of a teammate battle towards the end of the race. We're at the middle point of the race, well, actually a third of the way through. Lap 11 of 33, yellow flags. It looks as though one of the Renault's TieStar has gone round at through turn 2. Very easy to do, of course. Hopefully he doesn't pick up much damage. He's still hanging in the DRS, a big Papa Fury, but these tyres definitely going to be worse for wear. Keeping it with him though. Just about hooking it around. Just about staying within that 1 second. He can definitely put the pressure on, but Big Papa has got the pace to stay with the DRS of the two Mercedes in front. Has he got it? No. He's going to peel into the pits. Does the Williams, and the AlphaTauri going to stay out that extra lap just to get that bit more security in the race. But the Stig closing. Now, has he got a run on his teammate here? No, he's going to have to sit back, and both of them slowly running out of the energy recovery system. Of course, as you know, the kinetic energy from the braking. So obviously, these cars going 200 miles an hour. That's going to be a lot of kinetic energy, moving energy. When they brake, slam on the brakes close the brake discs together to cause a lot of heat energy, a lot of friction in the tyres, which slows them down, of course. And obviously, that friction causes heat energy. What the MGU-H does is that transfers that heat energy into electrical energy, which charges a battery, which powers a motor, giving the cars an extra 140 brake horsepower, which for reference, your road car is probably about half that, maybe even a little bit less. So it's a lot just for that little bit extra, but as in the case of Formula 1, extra is a lot and does mean a lot, and just that little bit extra can definitely go a long way. But the Stig using it to full effect. He's charged up a lot of battery through the infield section from turn 4 to turn 13, where he is now into 14 and then 15, followed by 16, really keeping it on his teammate, getting a bit shaky off the exit though, and that's not going to help him, but he has got overtake. Will we see the change of the race lead? He's a lot closer on this occasion than he has been before. Rip the Beans really trying to hang on to this lead of the race. Sorry, to the inside goes Mercedes, up the inside. Will his teammate hang him to dry around the outside? No, he's just going to hang in there, and that is the Stig up into the lead of the race on lap 13. Very nicely done, but it's not over yet. His teammate has still got 20 laps left to still put the pressure on. He's got a lot more ERS now, as his teammate has burnt through a lot of it in these, well, getting past, but it looks as though Rip the Beans is very much struggling for grip. Silly is on the back of the racing point as well. You see a change for P4 from 10 points to 12. Rip the Beans still just trying to stay in that DRS range though. Still try and keep it with him. Super Nash Bros does go fastest with a 120.2. DRS wide open for the Mercedes. The rear flap, as you can see, a very nice camera angle there. Yellow flags through sector 2. Who's that round? Is that a silly round? Yes, it is. The Williams backwards into the wall and having to wait for to be able to pull out. He definitely had an opportunity there, but he's just going to wait, sit back, and let everyone through. Very nicely done from the Williams. Very safe driving, it must be said, sacrificing his own race for the safety of others. Very sportsmanlike and very well done. When will we see these two medium runners come in then? Because they both seem to be struggling for grip. And the Stig already activating overtake to defend his position. He does go fastest, the 120.2. James Ralph responds with a 119.7. Very quick times from the Division 3 guys. Then the Maverick on the back of Big Tommy. This is for P4. He's trying to recover. And has he recovered? He's recovered very, very nicely in this race. Is he quite close enough for a run into turn 1? Doesn't quite look like it on this occasion. The Maverick, of course, qualifying in P3. Well, P4, but P3 on the grid after James's penalty. He's found himself in P5, despite pulling off at the start of the race. He's all over the back of the racing point at the moment for P4, and these two looking to have a bit of a scrap, both on equal running tyres, both on 13-lap-old medium tyres. It's just a case of who, well, kept their tyres alive, and definitely he's not going to be looking to keep his tyres alive by doing that big lock-up from the Alfa Romeo on the back of Big Tommy P. Overtake button is engaged. And will be engaged down this back straight, trying to get it ways through. He's only got 50% of the battery charge, well, 44% of the battery charge. He's not going to be using much of it down this back straight, I'm sure. I'm just going to be saving it for the pit straight, the run from turn 16 down into turn 1, and still the leader's not pitting in this race. Down into 13, 14, 15. Coming into 16, the Alfa Romeo not had the best run through there. He's going to be on the back foot coming down the pit straight. The Racing Point looking at very quick in all the right places. Doesn't matter if you're not quick through the section where you can't overtake, as long as you're quick coming out of the section where you can overtake. That's what's important, and he's doing a great job. Big lockup from the Alfa Romeo. That's going to send him in deep and cost him a lot of momentum. So the Racing Point hanging on brilliantly for this P4 position, and a very good chunk of points. 12 points, of course, on offer for P4. Very weird how the F1 point system works. 25 for the win, of course, and then a big gap down to second place. 7 points difference from first to second. Then, of course, it goes 18 at 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1. Of course, the top 10 do all get points in Formula 1. Maverick definitely is putting the pressure on Big Tommy regardless. Is going to be for an extra 2 points. Brad Tay as well looking to get involved. He's come in. He's on the medium tyre, so he's got the fresh rubber and looking to get himself back up in front of these two. The Maverick trying to set up a nice little cutback as Big Tommy does go in a little bit deep through 11 into 12. Chucking it through is Big Tommy. Alfa Romeo has to do is stay with him as Rip the Beans is into the pits. He's the first of the two Mercedes to pit. He's gone for the proactive start. He's pit on this lap. He's going for the undercut, and so is the Racing Point. Is the Maverick going to cut in? No. He's going to stay out. He's going to go for the overcut, use his confident pace, but here is Brad Tay on the back of him, and could we see a change for P4? He's going to be in DRS. He's using the ERS. Is it going to be enough? No. He's going to deactivate it and just wait. Work with him, because, of course, they both need good in-laps here to try and get themselves back up in front in this race. And if I was Brad, I would pit with these guys. It is always good to have a DRS partner, of course, in these races. You do need to have someone to slipstream off, and he's going to be pitting soon anyway, so it might just be beneficial if he can stick with these guys for P3. Hopefully he will. Beans coming out on the hard compound tyre at the end of the race. I'm sure P6 he comes up, then I'm sure his teammate will definitely respond. This is a crucial lap, and is Rip the looking to get himself up in front. He's going to go for the undercut, gain the time on this fresh rubber compared to his teammates' old 15 lap tyres. But the Stig, is he going to come into the pits then? He needs to react to his teammates' starts in this race. Is he going to come in? Yes, he is. Yeah, he's coming, sticking out for an extra lap and taking the lead of the race. A 1:19.5 as he does go quicker, so James Ralph is putting the pressure on the two Mercedes to win the race. Is the Maverick going to come into the pits? Is Brad Tay going to follow him? No, Brad is going to follow and go around the track an extra couple of times just to keep it. But the Stig then, he's coming in. He's already fitted these hard compound tyres as the Mercedes are at the start of the pit lane. Where is Rip the Beans? He's now coming through. Where is the Stig? He's now coming out of the pit lane. There's Rip the Beans. It's going to be close. No, it's not. The Stig still putting the pressure on, and Rip the Beans has very much lost out from this. He's 2.5 seconds back off his teammate, and that Stig not going to be too displeased with that, it must be said. But his tyres do need to warm up. Rip the Beans tyres, of course, the harder rubber does take a longer time to warm up. I'm sure they've got a lot of a larger heat capacity. Rip the Beans then needing to close the gap, getting back into the DRS of his teammate, but that Stig very much got the pace. He has shown the pace in this race, and he definitely is putting the pressure on, showing the pole sitter that, well, you might be quick in the wet, but I'm very much quicker in the dry. And, well, we've definitely had a bit of teammate rivalry around this track before, but again with the two Mercedes, but very deep goes Maha, the AlphaTauri. I've been saying this completely wrong. Is it Mahi? I'm not too sure. He'll definitely have to correct me after watching the stream back. And I'm sure he will. The AlphaTauri, nonetheless, is in P6, running a very nice job. He's on 3-lap old hard tyres and definitely is running a very nice race from where he started. Where did he start? In fact, he's up. He started P7, but good up for Fury, very much up 12. He's done a great drive. He's on 5-lap old hard tyres. Could these go to the end? Potentially, if he does be rather nice to him. He just needs to treat them like a baby. Be very gentle and keep him there. But crucially, Rip the Beans has got a lot more ERS than his teammate, but that's all well and good as long as you're in a close enough gap. He does need to try and get the power down a little bit better to try and catch back up to his teammate. But a great showing from the Division 3 guys. Of course, I have done Division 1, I've done Division 2. I don't think I've done Division 3. Have I done Division 3? I might have done. This is now my 4th week commentating for these guys over at FRL. So I'm sure I would have been. We'll have a little look. Maybe a little while ago now. Nonetheless, James Ruff is into the pit lane, and the Ferrari fitting the hard compound tyres, the white wall tyres. He'll be coming out, and where will he come out? He'll come out a long way back off the stick. He's just about into the DRS. Where is James Ruff though? The Ferrari now coming out of the pit lane. It's going to be close. He's got the fresh tyres in. He's on the back of the stick nonetheless. Is Rip the Beans going to get the jump on him? It looks like it's going to be a battle between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. James Ruff coming out just ahead of Rip the Beans though, so he's got the overcut on the Mercedes, and it looks like he is very much struggling for pace, but the Mercedes are all over the back of the Ferrari nonetheless. Definitely keeping the pressure on. He's lost about 2 seconds to his rival up in front, but he's still trying to negotiate his way past the likes of Big Papa Fury. Bratay still leading the way very nicely up in front. So no, I've done Division 2, I've done Division 1, this is now my chance on Division 3. So I haven't done Division 3, but Nitin is out of the race. He has retired, and it looks like that's just on track, but it's silly, and the Haas go side by side. Up the inside, there's going to be a nice run down into turn 1. He's going to get that cleanly done up the inside, and a crucial move to P12 for the Williams, and sneaking himself in some nice little airtime there. But it means though, still putting the pressure on James Ruff, just needs to into that 1 second range. He's not quite been able to do that, unfortunately. Still needing to find that little bit. Stig now all over the back of Big Papa Fury. He back marker. He pulls over very nicely to move out of the way for what is the net race leader. The Stig really impressive showing, consistent running throughout the race, putting the pressure on his teammate and making the move strike when he needed to. Lap 20 of 33, we've got 14 laps, well, about 13 and a half laps of this race to go. Through turn 8, through turn 9, and chucking into turn 9, actually the uphill right-hander nearly flat in corner. I think it's just about flat if you've got the balls to do it. Negotiated very nicely into the harsh braking zone of turn 10 with the Ferrari, who's trying to close up onto the Stig in front. He's probably the only one who can actually really give him a run for his money. He has got a lot of pace around here in the dry, as you can see. Super Nash Bro going for a very, very sideways moment. Tokyo drifting the if you didn't see the launch, Freddie, you can see in front of you is 2021 McLaren. Pretty much slight changes, but if it's not broken, don't fix it, as James Ruff does go purple and 19.2, and he is definitely setting some blistering pace in the initial stages of his tyre stint. Really now getting into the mind of the Stig. He's closing and closing slowly but surely, and hasn't quite got the pace to stick with Big Papa Fury, who was definitely sticking out these hard tyres to the end. Maybe we could see him not pit. He could definitely go for the one stop here. Incredible to see him jump up the grid that exponentially, and if he can nurse these tyres home, well, that is very impressive in itself. So what is that, 13 laps left, so these tyres will be 21 laps old by the time we get to the end of the race. So could be done. Is it going to be done though? Will he pit? He's definitely got the pace to keep with him, and James Ralph nearly into the DRS range, but you can see how much ERS he's burnt through. But the Stig as well, burning through a lot of the ERS as well. Purple to the middle sector goes James Ralph, chucking it through turn 11 and into turn 12. Had a bit of a brain freeze there, my apologies. But into turn 13, the start of the chicane, he's now in the DRS range, within that 1 second range to get the DRS. He just needs to edge it forward, get a good run out of here, and he's done it. He's into the DRS range of the net race leader. That is the Stig, and Brad Tay still nursing those tyres out in front, and he sets another purple sector 1:19.0, etching himself ever so close to the 18.8, I believe. That is the lap record. No, it's an 18.1, so he's about a second off the lap record. But just about falling out of the DRS range again. Just needs to recompose himself. Big push on though through turn 13. And that's still picking up a little bit of dirty air from the Mercedes in front is the Ferrari. Not the first time we'll see Ferrari and Mercedes, but there's a virtual safety car, a Super Nashbros. The McLaren is out of the race, and he's going to become the 5th retirement of today's race. So the McLaren are looking to call it a day. And where did he go off, actually? I'm not too sure, but it's caused a full course yellow nonetheless. So again, as we saw earlier in the race, 40% race speed delta for these guys. They're going to have to cruise around the track and just hold off. So while the marshals clear whatever debris or incident car on the track. The virtual safety car first brought out in Monaco 2016, I believe. They tested it out, and it's a lot easier than bringing out the full course safety car. At the push of a button, they can just have a notice on their dash to say, slow down, there's an incident on the track, as opposed to bringing out the full course safety car, which does help in certain situations when they want to back the pack up. Of course, with the virtual safety car, it neutralizes the race, so all the cars are still very spread out, but if they want a particular incident cleared, they don't want to constantly be looking out for the cars, so the safety car bunches them all up nicely so they can get that done. DRS enabled though, and he's got DRS off the green flag restart. We're back green once again, and James Ralph still looking to get himself back onto the back of the stick. He's saved up a little bit of ERS, just using a little bit of it to boost up the momentum, but the SIG now crucially into the DRS of Big Papa Fury, which is definitely going to be a big help for him. Neither have penalties, so this is a straight fight to the end of the race as Rip the Bean is into the pit lane. Interestingly, has he picked up a little bit of damage? Yes, he has. He's picked up damage, and the pole sitter having a complete nightmare of the race. Absolute calamity in this race for him. He's down to P8. He's going to be fitting on the soft tyres to the end of the race. Yellow flash through sector 3. It looks like Tystar has had a bit of a spin on his 21 lap old medium tyres. A bit of a meme there from him. He's got a puncture though. Has the Renault and going to be cruising his way back to the pit lane sideways. And I'm sure he's going to call it a day. He's got the gap though. He's still going to be P10, which is going to be points nonetheless. Coming out of the pit lane does Rip the Beans, and he's going to be coming out just ahead of the McLaren, who got a big spoot there. But that stick on the back of a Big Papa Fury. We're having a three-way fight for second, third, and fourth. This could get interesting. And Big Papa Fury also, of course, closing down onto the race leader. Could we see a four-way fight for the race lead? Brad still nursing these tyres out in front. I don't know how he's doing that. He's holding on brilliantly. And if he did pit now, he'd still come out around about the P6 range. So very close stuff. But the Stig on the back of Big Papa Fury. There's the Renault coming out of the pits now. Has he got the move done into turn 1? Not quite going to be able to get that done. The James Ralph as well falling back a little bit. He needs to get himself back into the DRS range of the two in front. And he's done that nicely, setting himself up through turn 1, 2 and 3. And he's done the job very nicely. And hopefully the Stig can get onto the back of Big Papa Fury, back him up. And just a little bit more to encourage the Ferrari to get himself back into this fight for the two podium places. Currently sitting P4. Rip the Bean as well. He's going to have some stonkering pace on those red mark soft tyres. Of course, the softest rubber of them all. And of course, that does give the most malleability and the most grip. Coming through turn 9 though is the Mercedes. Yellow flash through sector 2. It looks like someone's had a bit of an off, or was going slowly to let them through. The Stig on the back. Not quite going to be able to close enough on this occasion. Big Papa Fury keeping it with him. 5 tenths is the gap. This is early on. Yes, it is. It very much is early for me. But welcome nonetheless. Here's a Big Papa Fury though. This is for the race lead as Brad Tay has pit to the inside. The Mercedes to the outside. He's bringing it back over to open up the corner though. Defensive around the outside goes the Stig. Keeping him pinned, and there he goes around the outside for the race lead. Very, very, very good move from the Stig to swoop around the outside there of the Williams. And even the defending couldn't quite keep him in, but he's going to come back at him into turn 4. Up the inside goes the Williams. He's going to just about squeeze his way. The Mercedes not giving an inch, really squeezing him then, and they're still going to be side by side. Is the Williams going to send up the inside into turn 5? No, the Mercedes covering it off, and the Ferrari looking interested. He's gone wide, so the Ferrari's going to look up the inside into turn 8. Has he got the momentum? Yes, he has. It's not really an overtaking opportunity, but he sent it up the inside nonetheless, and he needs to get that move done to stay on the back of the Stig. He's up into P2, and Big Papa Fury really caught out by this then, and James Ralph just about not getting into the DRS range, so the Williams could potentially come back at him. James Ralph keeping it pinned to the middle of the track, but just about hanging on in there. And thank you so much, man. Yeah, it's very early on a Sunday. I've still got APP F1 to do later on, so I'm going to give my voice a nice little break, but appreciate the support, man, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So James just about sticking then into P2, and he's in the DRS range of the race leader in front. This could get feisty. He's got a very big scrum though coming out of turn 15 into 16. He's not going to have the DRS, and that is going to cost him. So Big Papa Fury into the pits finally. He has got a bit of a gap back down to Brad Tay, who's on the softs, looking very quick and feisty off the into the last stint. Where's Big Papa Fury going to come out though? The Williams garage all the way at the end of the pit lane. He's in the pits. Strapping on the soft compound tyre to the end of the race. Of course, we've got about 7 laps left to go in the race. Or about 8 laps actually. He comes out just behind Brad, about 3 seconds off Brad, and Big Papa Fury definitely has the pace to keep with him, so hopefully he can close the gap. But the closest gap on track is between at first and second. This is looking feisty. James Ralph really been on the back, putting the pressure on the Mercedes throughout the race. He's definitely been the only one to be able to challenge him on raw pace, and he really is keeping it real. Rip the Beans does go fastest with a 1:18.4, still 4 tenths off the race lap record here at Catalunya. Into turn 10, really pushing these tyres. He's on 2 laps younger tyres than the man in front of him, so he is trying to use that to the best of his ability, capitalise off the fresher rubber that won't be degrading as much, and he is making the most of it. He's closed the gap to around about 6-7 tenths, which is what it's remained at for the majority of this stint. Really giving it everything though. He's not as scrummy off that then, and through turn 16 he's got the DRS, he's got the ERS. Is he going to be close enough on this occasion, or is he just going to sit back? He's going to just sit back, use the slipstream, use the DRS to stick with him, and of course save up a little bit of ERS, and using the momentum just to carry it a little bit more, not using as much of the track, as Labyrinth has actually retired from the session. That has then out of the race in the pit lane, and he becomes the 6th retirement of the race. Brad Tay going fastest to 17.9 and well and truly breaking the race lap record here today. I'm sure the Division 2 and 1 guys very much into probably the 15s, maybe in the 14s in quali if it was dry. I don't know. I haven't really followed the 2 division guys. I'll have to catch up on that later, just to see what I'm doing for next week. Of course, the rosters does change, and I think I'm on Division 1 next week, maybe Division 2. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, through turn 9, chucking it through does the Ferrari, really needing to put the pressure on. They've got equal pegging when it comes to ERS, so James Ralph just needs to stick with the stick, put the pressure on, save up the energy recovery system as best he can. Through turn 11, the Ferrari really is putting the pressure on the Mercedes. And a big push on, he's gravelled it though, and James Ralph going to be kicking himself at that one. Just about managed to recover it though, but these tyres are going to be worse for wear. Just for a little bit, Yellow Flash, we set the 2 as we have got a spinner. I believe that's the, is that the racing point, is the Haas of Labyrinth, I believe, coming out of the pit lane and stopping on track. Of course they do have to do that. I don't know why they can't just pull into the pit garage. But nonetheless, it is interesting. But James, very much not getting the run he'd wanted. He needs to recover himself, recompose himself after really just pushing on through turn 11 or turn 12. Just completely got caught up there. The front tyres weren't having any of it, and as is the case with Undersea, you find yourself in the gravel, but he is pushing that hard, pushing the tyres to their limit, and that is very much evident. He's got 6 laps to go in this race. He wants to put the challenge on to the race leader. Let's have a quick look at the penalty situation. James Ralph, he's got a warning. He's got 2 warnings, so 1 more would be a penalty, whereas the Stig hasn't got anything. So he's definitely got the advantage on this front. But James Ralph just trying to keep with him, very much picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. As I speak of that, he has picked himself up that inaugural 3-second time penalty with the warning. So this is definitely a race for pride. He's not going to be able to break out that 3-second gap, I'm sure. But he definitely still wants to win on track to prove that he had the pace. He's definitely had the pace. He's all over the back of the Stig, and he has been for the last 28 laps or so, despite his pretty, well, disappointing quality, as Banana is moving out of the way nicely. It's going to be less than ideal for the Ferrari, who's trying to launch an attack. Here he goes then, DRS, and that's very sideways for the Alfa Romeo behind Banana Hancock, very much sideways into the barrier. Is that going to be a safety car? Potentially. Here they go then for the race. Inside, up the inside he goes. The Ferrari getting the stop of the Stig around the outside, keeping it pinned through turn 2, still side by side, and James Ralph around the outside through into turn 3. Very nicely done then from James Ralph. The Ferrari finally getting his way up, and side by side through turn 2, 1, 2 and 3. Wow, big send from James Ralph to get up the inside. He now has the next 4 laps to break free and get himself up 3 seconds more, or the Stig, to get himself a 3-second time penalty, but up into the race lead on track. But he has got a 3-second time penalty to contend with. Great racing though from those guys to keep that clean, and side by side through turn 1, 2 and 3. Very not easily done. Still keeping it pinned, but the Stig very famed. Well, he's hung it around the outside of turn 1 and 2 for twice now, but just about coming off worse on this particular occasion. Very, very close stuff between those two guys then, and I'm sure that'll be making the TikTok later on. Of course, I do have a TikTok. It is just Zach Sweeney, Sweeney Z Comms, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, basically just upload some highlights of races up there, so if you are interested, go give it a follow. It does very much appreciate it. It's just to give the channel a bit of extra exposure. There's some nice clean racing by these guys, fair play to them. Very clean racing, it must be said, these Division 3 guys, and just the guys in Formula Racing League in general, keeping it clean and doing a very nice job, putting a good show on for us today, and the fight for the race lead very much on. He's got out of the DRS range, has James Ralph, so he has got the pace once he's passed to open the gap up, but an extra 2 seconds in 3 laps, well 4 laps, is definitely going to be a difficult task to do. I'm definitely going to have to open the gap up, really push those tyres to their full extent, and hope the Stig makes a couple of mistakes, you know, along the way. This is definitely a race against time for James Ralph. Then he's got 4 laps left, well 3.5 laps left as he enters turn 8, very much the halfway point of the circuit, and the Stig's still putting the pressure on. All he knows in his head is to stay within 3 seconds, and he will reign victorious in this Division 3 race. What he needs to do is keep it consistent as he has been doing for the last 30 laps or so. Keep the pace that he has been doing, as Big Papi Fury has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty compared to Brad Tay. This gap has very subtly but very noticeably come down from 4 seconds now to about 1 second. So these two looking to have a bit of a tussle then. Big Papi Fury on the freshest soft tyres. Yellow Factory set the one. It looks like the racing point of is that Big Tommy P has had a bit of an off. Yes, he very much has had a big off, nearly coming on and hitting the McLaren, but Noof Squid up into P7, and well, that was a nice opportunistic move for him to get done, but Big Tommy P probably getting a bit caught on turn 2 curb. Very easy to do. Rip the Beans responds to his fastest lap with a 1:17.693, and well, slowly chipping away. Here's Big Papi Fury finally into the DRS range of Brad Tay in front. This is the fight for P4, the Williams all over the back of the Red Bull through turn 1 into 2, flat for turn 3. Now the tyres are going to be a lot lighter, well, the cars are going to be a lot lighter, burning off nearly 100 kilograms of fuel as the race progresses, so the car's going to be a lot lighter, a lot more nimble, and these fresh soft tyres as well are going to be giving them a full benefit of that extra, well, the less of weight. Even a kilogram makes a difference in racing, let alone 100 kilograms. Of course, the cars do have to abide by a 743 kilogram minimum weight. I'm pretty sure the regulations say. They're going to be definitely close to that now the race has ended. But here we go then. Lap 31 of 33. This is the fight for P4. Again, with the lead at the front, it's going to be pretty pointless as there is a penalty at play. But the race for pride is very much on. The Williams all over the back of the Red Bull through turn 12. Leads on, of course, into the final chicane of 13, using the inside curb, and Brad Tay holding his nerve very nicely. He has got a little bit more ERS to use than the Williams behind him, who hooks up the curb then, and this could be the change for P4, P5, P4, an extra 2 points on offer then, and the Red Bull to the inside. It's going to be pretty much in vain though, as the Williams has run out of ERS, and they're going to squeeze him all the way to the outside. The Williams to the outside, can he saw around, brilliant on the brakes, and swoops around the outside of the Red Bull, who's still going to keep it pinned. Can he get the switchback maneuver into turn 3? No, and it looks like the Williams finds himself up into P4, but needs to get pushing, get hammer time on if he wants to try and hang on to it. But Brad Tay just needs to stay within 3 seconds or not pick up a penalty of his own. Banana Hancock on the back of Rip the Bean, who keeps coming in for fresh soft tyres to extend the fastest lap. All over the back of him. Rip the Bean's going to be waiting up and maybe having a little bit of a battle with the Alfa Romeo. So these two, he's going slowly. Looks like he's going to be giving him something to chase. He's going to be wanting to go for a fastest lap. So backing off, interestingly, is the Mercedes. He wants to put on some lap of the race, though nonetheless, leading around just James Ralph. There's yellow flags again. That's probably because of Rip the Bean. Onto the penultimate lap, nonetheless. Here's Big Papi Fury still fighting with Brad Tay, who gets a bit scrummy coming out of turn 12 into 13. But we now are onto the final lap of the race. 2.3 seconds is the gap at the front. It's gone up, and he just needs an extra 6 tenths this lap. He's going to be giving it everything, I'm sure, is James Ralph. He really needs to extend the gap. He's stretched his ERS thin, and so has the Stig. 2.3 seconds is going to be very, very close at the front, and James Ralph, if he hadn't had that poor qualifying, would have definitely soared into the distance. 2.4 seconds, 6 tenths, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. He really is pushing. You can see how much he is pushing with these tyres. Being already back past the Alfa Romeo, further back down. Tystar with a 3-second time penalty. Really pushing it though is Ralph, and this is the final 8 corners of the race. Has the Sig picked up any warnings? No, he's still completely clean. Very wide is Ralph. That's definitely not going to be ideal. 4 tenths he needs through the final sector into turn 10. Braking as late as he can, second gear to get the rotation and use the curve on the inside. Through turn 11 into 12, he really is chucking it, giving it everything. 3 tenths he needs. It's going to be very close. This is still for the race lead, very much on, and 2 tenths into the final sector. It's going to be very close. He's got 3 more corners to negotiate. Does the race leader? Is it going to be enough though? Through turn 15, it doesn't look like it is. Turn 16, is it going to be enough? 2.5 seconds. It doesn't look like it. James Ralph is the winner on track, but with penalties, that Sig has kept it consistent. He's kept it clean. He is your race winner for Division 3 and P1 for the Mercedes, followed closely by James Ralph. So disappointingly close. Mahi though coming across the round off the podium. A pretty quiet race for the AlphaTauri, but picking up a nice podium, and Big Papa Fury coming home in P4, but Brad Tay keeping it close to claim P4 position after 33 laps of racing. The Maverick, who qualified P3, had a bit of an off to start the race, comes home in a P6, a further 18 seconds off. And Yellow Flash just set to 3, so it looks like Rip the Bean is going to be spinning around. He's going to let the Alfa Romeo back through. So the pole sitter not having the best of races. It looks like he's just been having a bit of a race with himself. We have so now 5 people watching, 6 people watching as the race has ended. So this is interesting, and wow, he's completely been there. Did you see the car in the wall? That's sideways up the wall, and well, I don't think that's PG-13 to be completely honest, but now 5 people watching as we are ending the stream. But if you do want to go check back the stream, you can skip back, and that was a very entertaining 33 laps of the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and incredible stuff from these guys, it must be said. But yeah, incredible racing up the front. James Ralph and the Stig going side by side for the race lead through turn 1, 2 and 3. But that was the Division 3 race, round 5 at Catalunya. Very exciting stuff. Big Papa Fury picking up your driver of the day. I do very much have to agree. He was fighting with the race leaders on some very old hard tyres and still keeping the pace and come home to finish. A remarkable P5 on penalties, P4 on track though. And you can see the Mercedes and Ferrari both celebrating, taking some selfies on the podium, lifting the trophy in celebration. And he's definitely going to be proud of that one, to try and gain some more points in the championship. But after 33 laps of racing and 46 minutes of racing, that Stig comes out on top. James Ralph from 8th on the grid comes home in 2nd. Mahi in the AlphaTauri rounding off the top 3. Brad Tay in P4. Big Papa Fury P5 from 15th on the grid. He is your driver of the day. Maverick in P6. Noof P7. Big Tommy P8. Silly P9, Banana Hamcock rounding off the top 10, Tystar rounding off the finishes, and we've had, well, a lot of DNFs in this race. Rip the Bean in P12, Labyrinth in P13, Super Nash Bros P14, Lilith in P15, and Danjay down in P16. He crashed towards the start of the race. That's Tough Chef in P17, and Quanon DNFing in the pit lane early on in the race as well. But nonetheless, I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been at Formula Racing League. I don't actually know if they want me to do post-race interviews. I'm not too sure. It was a very much logistical nightmare last time I did it, so I don't know if I'll bother. I will have a look just to see if they do want me to do it, but I will have a look. I will check. Anyway guys, nonetheless, this has been Zach Sweeney, is my name, and this has been Division 3. If you are new to my channel, do make sure to subscribe, like the stream, and of course all the support is very much appreciated. But this has been the Catalan Grand Prix, well the Spanish Grand Prix. Catalan is for MotoGP. This has been the Formula Racing League Pro-Am Division 3 Round 5 here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That has been 33 laps and a short qualifying session, done and dusted in the books, and what an exciting race it was with battles up and down the field. But as I'll say for a first time, I've been Zach, this has been FRL, and I hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.